This is my review of Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. In this review, we will first go through a brief summary of the book. I'll give some of my thoughts on it. We will then have our spoiler section, which will be marked, so you can skip it, of course. After that, we'll go through my rating system for the book, and then that's it. And you can tell me what book you want me to review next. So, I'm Eve, and this is Purgatory with Eve, and let's get into it. Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I wanted to include a little note before I start getting into my summary and thoughts. Paul Tremblay is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors with every book that I read. I started with A Cabin at the End of the World. After that, I read Horror Movie. And since then, I've also read The Pallbearers Club. And I am just in love with his writing style. So, without further ado, let's get into it. I absolutely loved this book. Horror Movie is about a group of young adults who are creating, or more accurately, bringing to life the horror movie screenplay that gets presented to our main character, who remains unknown, or unnamed at least. The story switches from a table read style of the script of the movie to the current perspective of our main character, to the flashback of the younger version of our character, our main character. The audiobook experience was completely unique to any that I have ever had, and this story kept me engaged the entire time. I found the main character to be pretty unlikable from the start. They seemed pretty arrogant, and the story is told in first person, but the story is intriguing enough that I pretty much forgot that I found present day main character so annoying. I would describe this book as thrilling, very suspenseful, and pretty thoroughly written. I feel like I walked away understanding the book pretty well, and I very much enjoyed it, enough for it to now be one of my go-to recommendations to give now. In this story, we go through the mystery of what really happened on the set of Horror Movie all those years ago, as our main character recounts it all to us as he goes through the motions of being a part of the remake slash reboot of what has sort of become an underground cult classic for horror movie fans everywhere. The characters that we are introduced to are relatively interesting, but I think the plot is the real driving force in this book. Reading the ebook was a little difficult for me to keep everything straight, but once I switched to the audiobook, it became easier to follow. And I would highly recommend it as the ideal way to experience the story. The pacing is good. It is slow enough to not feel rushed, but fast enough that I did not feel bored at all. I listened to this book and finished it in about 48 hours, which is a lot for me because I was hooked and I was just so curious to find out just what the hell happened when they filmed the movie. What were they doing? There were no segments in this book that felt pointless or like filler. I was 100% focused the entire time. The ending I did not expect, but I felt satisfied with it, and I think that it was well done considering that it was something that I typically don't like in stories. I would recommend this book to horror or thriller readers who want a slow burn suspense. If you liked the show Brand New Cherry Flavor on Netflix, that is what this book reminded me of, but done in a much better way. I would say that the ideal reader should probably enjoy a bit of an abstract or indie style of artistry, as our characters have a very particular way that they want viewers to experience the movie. And that translates to how the audiobook and physical book are presented. That's all for my summary and thoughts. For my ratings, I gave this a 5-star overall rating. For the plot, I also gave it 5 stars. Characters, 3 stars. Would I recommend? Hell yeah. For the format, I started on ebook but ended up listening to the audiobook, and the genre is definitely suspense/horror. Now, this is the spoiler portion of the video, so if you haven't read it, just fast forward or you can click off, and thank you for watching. My favorite part of the book is when we find out about what happens in the classroom with the chainsaw. I can't remember her name, Cleo, I think, when they're filming the scene where the thin kid is attacking her with the chainsaw, and it's supposed to be off, but everyone agreed to try to get the take with the chainsaw active. Well, of course, something goes deadly wrong, and the character being attacked sits up into the chainsaw. But the part that I enjoyed the most about this is that our main character admits that they pushed the chainsaw in a little further when this was happening. This is what made me start to question our main character, or at least squint at him, and wonder where the story was going to take us a little bit more. I was a little confused about when the past main character went to visit Valentina and she cut off his pinky again. I didn't really understand that part, but I rolled with it. So if anybody knows anything about that, please feel free to enlighten me. The ending is something I typically don't like, but Tremblay did a great job making the ending feel weird and satisfying. I love the reveal that we're just maybe dealing with an unreliable narrator. Him attacking the new thin kid and assuming that no one will notice or that the movie will continue on as planned is what makes me feel like our main character just might not be all there. But I love the ability for an open interpretation for the ending. I choose to believe he's just a guy who's a bit crazy and murderous instead of actually supernaturally cursed by the mask. But what do you think? Have you read this book? And will you give it a shot now that I've talked about it? It's really good, I promise. That's why I give it 5 stars. Remember, if you want to discuss in the comments, make sure you mark your spoilers. So let me know in the comments, and please feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you would like, and I will see you in the next one.